What is going on, everybody? My name is Nick, and welcome to another one of my K-pop vlogs. This one is going to be dedicated to the most recent two episodes in the Korean drama Trot Lovers, which, if you're following the series, you're probably, well, that's probably the reason why you're watching it. And if you haven't watched it yet, then you probably shouldn't, because this video is going to contain spoilers. So with that warning and all of that out of the way, let's get straight into it. And, well, the week before, we left off with the cliffhanger that Jun Hyun had suffered a head injury, and, well, the question that everyone dreaded the answer to, which they knew was going to happen, was, is he going to suffer from amnesia because of that? And that's, because that is a typical thing that the dramas like to run out all the time as a plot point and thing that happens all the time, is that two people are in a relationship and they're all happy together, and then one person has a bit of an accident and they hurt their head, and now they can't remember any of it. And so, well, we get our answer. How long was it into the first episode, to episode number 11? I think it was 20 minutes into the episode when, well, we realize that he has amnesia and he cannot remember pretty much anything past that's happened after the first or second episode of the series, where, because since he ends up calling Chun Hee, metal troublemaker or whatever, metal troublemaker, yeah, because based off of the whole point that, when she was bothering him about him cheating running the marathon, so yeah, everything that happened from that on up until this point in the series, he has apparently kind of forgotten. And it was the thing that I'm sure that nobody wanted to happen, but everyone expected to happen, and so it happened. But I mean, it's not. It's like 95% amnesia, because he doesn't completely not remember. He doesn't remember, but he's not, or he remembers, but he's not sure. Because there's sometimes when he's, you get the feeling that he's just kind of thinking like, I'm familiar with this person, or I'm familiar with what's happening, or I'm familiar with some of this other stuff. And, well, yeah, it was expected that it was going to happen. It wasn't anything that I wanted to happen. So honestly, after watching episode 11 and going through the whole hour of that, I was honestly really irritated with the direction that they decided to go with that. Because, like, really, why does he have to do something different? Please have a different, be creative, come up with a different thing to make everyone, to turn this whole story, the whole, I guess, is gonna more or less be like the climax of the story in the next few episodes that we've got, because I think there's 4 more left in the series. But the next episodes are basically going to be, well, we've got this whole situation has caused a whole lot of drama, which I'm going to talk about in a minute, and we're just going to go downhill from there until the end. And so, what is all of the drama that I'm talking about? Well, it's multifaceted. There are a couple of different things, right? So Soo In, he's right with his amnesia, right? It's taken back to the point in time where he's in a relationship with Soo In, and in the episode before, she more or less said, like, I'm done with Jun Hyun. He likes Chun Hee. I concede defeat in that regard. I'm not going to be chasing after him too much more afterwards. And he's like, well, you two go at it. You can have him. Chun Hee, have Jun Hyun. And so that was kind of the whole reason why they ended up being in a relationship to begin with. She wasn't very happy with him being sad because he was separated from Chun Hee. And now that things have kind of changed, she is, I guess, takes it back. She wants Jun Hyun, and so she's using this whole incident as a way to, grab hold of him and be like, well, I'm the one who's dating you. He still thinks that he's dating her, and so she might as well. And all of this whole relationship thing is also being helped by the fact that her mom is looking to take advantage of this whole thing to destroy Jun Hee's music career, because Jun Hee is, overshadowing her daughter. And so, on top of the whole relationship scandal that she fabricated and released with the politician, the assemblyman, she's twisting all of the news and all of the different stories and the events and all that stuff that happened with this whole head injury event thing to make it look like Soo In was the one who was saved from injury, and that Soo In and Jun Hyun are in a relationship. And it doesn't mention any sort of thing with Chun Hee at all, which Soo In plays along with it because her mom's pretty persuasive. She's pretty threatening and aggressive with the whole, like, you gotta stick with this even if you don't want to. So there's that. And in that regard, with her mom, with Soo In's mom persuading her to go along with this whole plan, there are moments that, in the 2 episodes where Soo In is questioning whether or not she should be doing what she's doing, right? Which before this happened, I said that I don't like Soo In very much, but on the other hand, I can't help but also like her, because it's not like she does things that I'm like, wow, I really hate you, I don't like you for doing that. But then on the other hand, the stuff I was like, well, that's cool, I like that you did that was a good thing. So she's one of those characters that you have a love-hate relationship with, and it's whatever. But for the first bit of the show, or this pair of episodes for this week, she's not really likable, which is understandable because she's not really meant to be liked at the moment. But she's also, with her going along with her mom's plan, and also her plan herself that she's come up with, she's wavering a bit in that, because she's stuck in the middle of 2 bad results. Because on one hand, she wants to be with Jun Hyun and all that stuff, right? She wants to be in a relationship with him, but she's lied to him about what's actually happened, right? With his head injury and all this other stuff. So as soon as the truth gets revealed, he's probably going to be pretty mad with her, right? On the other hand, right, she also likes Geun Woo, right, the interim president, right? And because of what she's done to, take advantage of the situation there and cut out Chun Hee and just be mean to her about it, she's kind of burned her bridge with him as well. So either way, the end result of this is not going to be favorable to her. And so, both unfavorable results are, nagging at her and really causing her a bit of distress, it seems, at times. But then again, at other times, it seems like she's completely committed to what she's trying to do. And, those are moments when you really don't like her. So there's that. And, like I said, when that Jun Woo, vaguely remembers Chun Hee, right? There is, I don't remember if this has been the first episode or the second, but there is a whole, like, dream sort of sequence where they're, the 2 of them are, like, sitting in the field, and he's playing the guitar and she's singing all that stuff. And, that's a thing that like, he's dreaming while he's sleeping, or while he was, passed out or anything like that. So, obviously he has a bit of a recollection of her, but he doesn't know exactly any, the, specific events or any of that stuff. It's just like the idea of Chun Hee and maybe the relationship that they had previously, but there's no specifics. And, on top of that, he also, at one point during the, this weekend's shows, he gets drunk by himself at the bar. Because that's what happens when you're, I don't know, feeling down. It's a really common theme in the Korean dramas, that people get drunk, and that when, they're in distress in some sort of way. But so anyway, he gets drunk and he takes a taxi. He goes home, right? And he takes a taxi to Chun Hee's house, and then just, enters in the passcode for their door, and then makes the bed in his bedroom, and then just sleeps. So, obviously at somewhere in his mind, right, he does remember, her and everything that he'd done with her and for her and living together with her and all that stuff. And, there's all that. And also at some point when he meets his rival singer guy, who I can't remember his name because he's not terribly important, but he drops the thing where he was Chun Hee's manager, right? And obviously Jun Hyun doesn't remember that, doesn't really think that that's even a possible sort of thing, because he's the god of music and she's just a lowly trot singer. But, you know, so he's pretty confused about that. And, you know, when he's outside of Chun Hee's house, one of the days, I think when he was leaving, after being drunk and then going there and sleeping, you know, the real, you know, President Joe, the guy who actually is, you know, in charge of the entertainment company, is outside picking lettuce because he lives there. He lives in the house next to Chun Hee, which we all know at this point. And he asks her, like, so Jun Hyun asks him, like, so I heard that I was Chun Hee's manager, right? So what is the deal with that? And then he tells, you know, the president tells him, like, well, you were, and I told you that, you know, if you made her #1 on the charts, that you would get your comeback album. And that's another one of those things that's kind of making all of his memory pieces fall into place, because, you know, as much as, you know, the dramas pulled out the whole memory loss thing, the memory loss is never permanent, right? It's never like, well, he doesn't remember who she is, and then, you know, that's the end of this series, you know, which might be a decent ending. I don't know. We'll have to see how, you know, something like that is actually played out. But, you know, it's not, it's, I mean, I don't know, the whole episode is just, you know, the ways that people are taking advantage of Jun Hyun's memory loss to, you know, make their own, to improve their situation in whichever way that they want to improve it, right? So, you know, Soo In wants to be in a relationship with Jun Hyun, that's, you know, so she's taking advantage of it that way. Her mom wants to destroy Chun Hee as a singer, so she's taking advantage of it that way, you know, because for whatever reason. And yeah, and you've got Chun Hee is just going around really heartbroken about the whole thing, not really doing anything to try and, you know, help him regain his memory, which is something that you would have expected to happen, but it doesn't really. And yeah, there's that. And then, you know, one of the nights, while this is towards like the last 20 minutes or so of the of the last episode of the week, you know, there's the whole dream of, you know, Jun Hyun and Chun Hee in the fields, you know, doing music together. You know, and all of the previous dreams that they've shown beforehand didn't actually show her face. But this one, you know, her face is actually revealed, right? And that is, I'm going to assume, probably, considering what happens later in the episode, which I'm going to talk about as well, you know, that is kind of the moment that, you know, he realizes who she really is, that he kind of gets his memory back, more or less. We don't know for sure, though, because that wasn't revealed, right? But, you know, with that, so for the last half of the episode, they spend the whatever day or however many days it is at a Shine Star Unity, I don't know, outing. They're going on whatever. So they're at this place. You know, they have their event for the night, and you know, Chun Hee and Geun Woo are, you know, hanging out afterwards. And Geun Woo's like, I want to play a game, right? You know, there's a dart game that they play, the dagger game. And he wants to play a different, you know, he asks Chun Hee if she knows any different ones. And, you know, she pulls out well, you know, the night before, the other night, me and Biol were playing a, you know, storytelling game where one person starts off and then, you know, they say a sentence and the next person carries it on, and then, you know, that's the way it goes. And so, you know, he and her start playing. They're telling the story of a mermaid and a prince who like each other. And then, you know, Jun Hyun and Soo In come by, because, you know, that's the way it's supposed to go, I guess. And, you know, the four of them are basically telling a story, a fake story about, you know, the way that their relationships are all intertwined, right? And, you know, Chun Hee's saying, like, that, you know, telling the story about she's a mermaid, right? Well, there's a mermaid, which is her, right, who likes a prince, but, or, you know, that likes a prince, and the prince likes her, but he can't remember, right? And Geun was like, well, there's this other prince that also likes the mermaid, right, from a different area. And, you know, Soo In says, well, there was this other princess who, likes, is going to marry the prince who can't remember the mermaid. And this whole time, Jun Hyun is like, kind of like, you kind of get the feeling that he kind of feels that the whole story and all of that stuff is kind of about him and Chun Hee in a way. And at that point, Chun Hee sort of says, well, because the prince can't remember the mermaid. The mermaid decides that she's going to, just, the translation said, turn into bubbles and disappear. Which basically means that, like, not like she's gonna kill herself, but that she's just gonna, just vanish from existence. She's not gonna exist anymore. The prince isn't gonna know about anything about her. Right? And nobody wants that to happen, really, obviously. I would imagine nobody wants that to happen. You kind of want Jun Hyun and Chun Hee to be together, right? I do. That's what I would like. So yeah, there's that. And then the last, I guess, moment of the episode is, Chun Hee and Jun Hyun, they're going on a boat ferry ride to I don't even know where, with all of the other people from the company. And earlier in the episode, a few minutes earlier in the episode, Jun Hyun had taken her hair clip, which he had bought for her as like a whole like I like you sort of deal, and then threw it away. And so she's, Chun Hee finds out about it and goes and asks him about it, and he says like, I threw it. And then she's like, I'm going to get it. And so they end up going back to the resort, and they're looking for it. And so they missed the boat, and they're hanging out, they're just waiting for the next one to come, and just being together, waiting, and they're together. And the end of the episode, it really looks like Jun Hyun was about to kiss Chun Hee, but the boat came back and it interrupted that whole thing. But the last words of the whole episodes for the weekend were, Jun Hyun saying, asking Chun Hee, right, do you know what happens to the prince when the mermaid turns into bubbles and disappears? Right? And I don't remember if Chun Hee said anything. I don't think she did, because I was more or less focused on what Jun Hyun said, because the next thing was that, when she turns in the bubbles, the prince gets his memory back. So, does that mean that he has his memory back? Probably does. More, sort of. We won't know until the next episodes come out, which, in a few days. And it's going to be interesting to see how that turns out. So the stage is set for maybe a dramatic finish, right? Because the things that everyone has to be wondering now are, like, once the truth gets revealed, because it seems like it's about to get revealed, right? How does that affect the relationships between Jun Hyun and Soo In, and Soo In and Chun Hee, and Soo In's mom and Chun Hee, and all of that sort of stuff? How does that whole conflict that was developed by everyone trying to take advantage of Jun Hyun's memory loss, right? How does that play out? Right, that's interesting because, Soo In is neither good nor bad in my eyes. She's a little bit of both, and I don't particularly want anything, bad to happen to her. But on the other hand, whatever happens, I don't really care. Obviously I want Jun Hyun and Chun Hee to be together and all of that. And it's all kinds of interesting things that are coming out here. Oh, and then one more thing, not related at all to the main plot, but Chun Hee's dad, Myung Sik, goes to, where was he at? I think he was at the entertainment company at Shine Star, and Soo In's mom is there, and they meet and they talk, and Myung Sik is talking about how his wife or whatever, they were talking about the death of his wife, right? And he was saying that, like, explaining that I'm too busy paying off debt and working all that stuff that I can't look for the driver who killed her, because, context clues here, she was probably killed in a hit and run accident, right? So Myung Sik is looking for the person who was responsible for that. And Soo In's mom is like, oh, wow, that's crazy. Maybe, you know, that's some serious stuff. Like, maybe she was a bit surprised to hear that. So, one, what is their relationship, right? How do they know each other? It's a bit of an interesting thing there. And considering that Suman's mom is so cutthroat in, you know, destroying other people, maybe because, you know, Chung Hee's mom and whatever was potentially going to be really successful and overshadow her, kind of like how Chun Hee is doing the same thing to her daughter. Maybe she killed Chun Hee's mom. Maybe she's the one who's responsible for the hit and run accident, but we're not going to know that for sure, obviously, until it's revealed. But I kind of think that she might have had a hand in her death, and I wouldn't be surprised if that's actually, you know, what happened. So that's it. Let's see. So the way that the story went, the amnesia and all that stuff is very disappointing, but I cannot say that the whole 2 episodes, they were probably the best 2 episodes of the entire series, I'll have to say. Very, very, very interesting, full of all kinds of huge plot points that, you know, well, turning points in storylines and all of that. And yep, I think that it's set up for a really, really good finish. And, you know, we'll just have to see how it goes, obviously, because, you know, these things are done week by week. So yeah, that's all I got. I got a couple questions for you guys to drive audience engagement. Number 1 is, what do you think is going to happen next? What is your thoughts? What are your thoughts? Right? Number 2 was a 2-part question. Did you expect there to be amnesia? Jun Hyun to suffer from amnesia? And are you disappointed, angry? What are your feelings on the decision to go with this plot point here? The you know, the stereotypical K-drama event thing that happens all the time. So that's all I got, and I will see you for the next one. Do not forget to check me out on Twitter at ManWorkerGames. You can answer your questions, obviously, down in the comments below, or you can hit me up at Twitter at ManWorkerGames. The link for that is going to be in the description. Also, if you would like to see more of these and be notified when they go up, then please subscribe to my channel. I do appreciate it. Also, a rating, a thumbs up or a thumbs down is much appreciated. It does help me out either way. And again, thank you for watching, and I will see you for the next one. See you later.